Driven by January's record-setting wildfires in California and tornado outbreaks across other regions, the U.S. Homeowners Insurance segment reported its worst first quarter loss ratio in 5 years. That according to a new report from AM Best. I'm John Weber for AM Best TV, and I'm speaking today to David Blades, an associate director and key author of that recent AM Best report. So David, first quarter did not bode well for homeowners. How did the segment close out 2024, however?
All right, so for 2024, the segment actually closed out in an improved state. 7 of the last 8 years, the homeowners industry in the aggregate has produced net underwriting losses. In 2024, that net underwriting loss was the smallest that it had been during that period. So we saw a 99.7, I believe, combined ratio, which again was the best in that 2017 to 2024 period. And it was a couple of points lower than the 10-year average of, I think, 101.2. So in 2024, the homeowners results were improved. Still, obviously, there was still some work to do. Obviously, there was still secondary perils losses and things of that nature, in particular, that plagued homeowners. But there was the benefit of a lot of the initiatives that homeowners insurers have put in place. We did see the manifestation of that in 2024, and the hope coming into 2025 was that more of that would bear some fruit on the results for this year.
So how are these first quarter results in comparison with the rest of 2025?
So obviously the first quarter, getting off with the January California wildfires, that was a tough blow, especially for homeowners insurers, but for the whole PC industry to start the year. And then from a homeowner's perspective, we also had a spate of tornadoes across the Midwest, the Plain states, and even some of the southern states. The first quarter definitely got the year off to a tough start in terms of operating profitability. From what it did for the overall industry, the overall industry had a net underwriting loss of $1.1 billion. And you compare that to what the industry did in 2024, an underwriting gain of $9.4 billion. So you see just that first quarter with homeowners insurance basically making up 16% of PC, direct premiums written. So having a large chunk of the industry kind of focused on homeowners. The tough results of the first quarter definitely got things off to a rough start. We're going to be aggregating second quarter data, and the hope is that we'll see whether things began to gain some more traction in terms of, like I said, some of those initiatives and some of those things that have been put in place. The benefit of better modeling. The strategic underwriting decisions that insurers have put in place, et cetera, to better manage their homeowners' risks, improve modeling. We'll look to see if some more of those things, again, helped offset the first quarter results through mid-year. But like I said, we're still in the midst of aggregating that.
So direct premiums written are on the rise. What does that trend indicate to you, David?
It indicates that homeowners insurers, even with the progress that they saw in 2024, realize that there's still a little ways to go in terms of making sure premiums are adequate from an overall portfolio management perspective. There are still areas and states, across the country and in different areas of the country that are still producing troubling results or unfavorable results. So what we're seeing, the fact that homeowners premium was still up in the first quarter, is that the insurers still recognize the need for premium adequacy, realize they're not necessarily where they need to be yet in terms of that. And again, you judge things on an account-by-account basis, and from a portfolio management perspective, you're looking at the different states. Each different state will present, its different exposures, and obviously the coastal states are the ones that generally get the most attention because the more volatile results generally come from those states. But the fact that the premiums were still rising, it's showing that the insurers understand that the job is still to be done, even with the progress that was seen in 2024.
There's been some discussion about the variation of the quarterly results. What kind of dynamic does that present?
Well, I think, you look at, and I'll talk about the first quarter results, obviously. The January results especially the California California wildfires, that was somewhat of an aberration. You generally, if you're a property underwriter and a homeowner's underwriter, you're generally worried in the first quarter about winter storms and winter freezes, things that might cause power outages, et cetera, et cetera. Those are the kind of things that, in general or over the long term, have been the issues that may have plagued the industry or plagued homeowners insurers. So, from a seasonality perspective, what we're looking at is hopefully the second quarter, when you might expect, warmer weather to have, more wildfire occurrences or some of the types of volatile weather. And then obviously, as we've now gotten into the Atlantic hurricane season, we're going to see, what that means in terms of whether some of those results are either, unusually, unfavorable, or whether they're, more favorable that we've seen in other years to maybe offset, the experience that was had in the first quarter. But we're still going to, continue looking at that. And I think homeowners insurers are definitely keeping their eyes on that in terms of their overall portfolio management from, the beginning of the year to the end of the year, in terms of the perils that they have to encounter, and the fact that they have put a lot of resources into better overall portfolio management with more detailed and more granular modeling of their portfolio. So we'll see again if that bears fruit as we go forward.
Thanks, David.
No problem, John.
That was David Blades, Associate Director, AM Best. You can find the full report online at ambest.com. For AM Best TV, I'm John Weber.